The year is 2016. I just got an Xbox One S. And my cousin, Sam Richie T, also has an Xbox. We played a lot of Battlefront and love that game a lot. I think the second one is also fantastic. Came out the next year. And this piece is from that material that Gordy Hobb made. And I think he's I think he's a great composer, but I also think he has a wonderful mastery of the orchestra, which is very special and I think really, really cool. Listen to a lot of podcasts, interviews about him or with him rather. And I think, first of all, his voice reminds me of this guy I used to work with in Boston. And I think that's really funny, but that's just a side story that doesn't matter a lot. But I'm going to keep it in. But I think he's a wonderful composer and orchestrator. And you could just hear so many different colors in the orchestra. And so much like John Williams uses it. It's so cool that there's someone knowledgeable. I think he works with... I was doing a dig one day, and I think he works with a group called Embody Music. It might not be a group, it might just be one guy, but his whole team very good, and I just love the orchestra. So I just love to hear orchestra music, and I think he's so good. Anyway, Battlefront 1 and 2, great material from Gordy. This particular piece has one of his themes in it, and I think one of my favorite pieces from Battlefront 1, and I'm gonna put it right here. So that was it. I think that is so great. And that used to be like pump. It still is pump up music, but that's a good taste of what this music is. And there's so many more textures and colors and weights and energy. And he's just so good. Gordy's so good. So this is just a tiny sketch. I think I like to put games on in the background when I'm doing stuff around my place. So like just the main menu. So this one is Battlefront 2 and Battlefront 1 kind of cycle through. I used to do Halo Master Chief Collection a lot because that has really good, just kind of like you throw it on while you do stuff. It's just a gigantic game, so it's like you gotta dedicate space for that on your hard drive, on your Xbox hard drive. Because it's not the same when you pull up a YouTube video, okay? It's not the same. But, yeah, this is Star Wars Battlefront. The art is by Aaron McBride. I think he's a wonderful artist. He has wonderful compositions. This is just the thing I think that you're looking at in one of the videos is just like a crop of a very, very kind of wide painting that he did. And I think it's so great, and I think that his palette, the colors that he chooses, are also very, very fantastic. The whole thing is based on a novel by Alexander Freeman, which I have not read yet, but I think I was just drawn to the idea of, because I love the game so much, I was just like, hey, this is cool that there's like a novel based off of Battlefront. And I think there's so many Star Wars books out there too that I have not read, other than the Young Jedi Knight series when I was a kid. But there's so many cool Star Wars stories out there, and they just keep being made, including this Twilight company. Talking about some of the process, I had that main menu on, and I think I was just doing something, and I heard this trumpet line, and I thought it was great. So I just kind of recorded it and then extrapolated, or not extrapolated, but just kind of went from that starting point and did this short piece. I play horn, trumpet, and trombone, and I've been working on doublings. So a lot of the signature, brass, as a brass player, just John Williams and his orchestra is just, they just write so many good brass parts, and they know, they just double stuff really good. So by doubling, I mean there's a horn playing a line, or a pitch rather, and then on the other side of the orchestra there's a trombone playing the same pitch, or there's a horn playing a line, and then on the other side of the orchestra there's a trumpet player that is doubling that, so that it gives it another character. And in some ways it also, the horn is a bit mellow, so when it needs to, well, the horn has a very wide range of sounds, but when you double it with a trumpet, it gives it a little more edge, and it gives the line a little more clarity. And not necessarily a line, it could be a pitch within a harmony. And so I've been working on kind of experimenting with that, and just doing a bunch of doubling. So you'll hear that in here. I think I kept it straight to 4 horns, 3 trumpets, and then 3 trombones, and a tuba, fake tuba. And the fake tuba is just the trombone. If you play in the middle register and play it kind of roundly, it can be pitched down and sound kind of like a tuba. Still not as round, and it still doesn't have that really good sound, but it's close enough. And so that was that. For the string writing, that was fun too. For the woodwind writing, that was good too. I love woodwinds, and this was a good practice to not be so heavy. I think heavy-handed. I think mostly when I write, it's a lot about harmony and like sustaining stuff, but this was a good practice. I went back a couple times. I mean, it's still pretty heavy, but I went back a couple times and had to kind of cut short some pitch lengths because it was too heavy. And so a lot of what you'll notice in Williams and Hobbs' style is like the woodwinds are, they have to be light. They're light, so you're not like, depending on the context, because they use them in many good ways. But in this case, the woodwinds, you can use them as like a light texture, and so that I was working on that in this little piece as well. I think they're still a little heavy, but it was fun to like go yep. And the percussion is pretty light, as well as a timpani, which I think in Williams music, especially in the last couple of years, especially with the prequels, the Star Wars prequels, I think Williams really used the timpani. It was really important. I don't know the right word, but it was, or I noticed even my ears more aligned to the timpani because of what it does to the thrust of the piece of music, or the momentum that it helped drive. And I thought it was cool. So I think even in my other, outside of my Star Wars music too, I've been trying to use the timpani not as a, not as like like a roll that sustains for like whatever, but more as a way to prepare a section and then thrust it forward, which I think Williams does. He uses it a couple different ways. He does it, you'll notice him doing that where it's down and then it thrusts the weight forward, or it's to it's to do a halt, or to do a kind of a stinger, or like a pronounced gesture to move it onto something else. But I think that, oh man, I could talk about his prequel music for a while, but I think the timpani is very prevalent in that stuff, and then also the low woodwinds are very cool in the prequel scores, and I love those scores a lot. Yes, anyway, Battlefront Twilight Company. I hope you enjoy. I hope that it's cool. It's short, but it was fun to do. And that's it. Alright, GG. Peace out. Peace, 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 peace.